You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, folks. It's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, Legislators Chris Johnson and Jose Alvarado.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, I want to talk about what's going on over at the Board of Elections. Also, the petitions are in. Anthony Moranti handing them over to the city clerk, Mr. Vincent Spano, along with Matthew Gallagher. Let's talk Yonkers politics. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. How you doing? Excuse me as I adjust my chair. I want to talk about Chris Johnson, Jose Alvarado. Jose Alvarado got a new appointment today. You know, he's moving on up. And I also want to talk about the petitions that Anthony Moranti, the Republican running for mayor of Yonkers, turned in today. Oh, was it today? May not have been today, but he recently turned in. And I spoke about this over to the Yonkers City Clerk's office. And that's Vincent Spano. And he will have to go through those petitions to ensure that they are all legitimate signatures. And then if that is the case, it will then be put forth to the city council to see if they will approve it to be on the ballot. But I'll get into that. But first, let's talk Chris. Actually, you know what? I don't want to talk Chris Johnson first. I want to actually mention this really quick. I just want to make this announcement. Someone had asked me at the town hall meeting yesterday, I believe, with Anthony Moranti, when are these meetings, right? When are the planning board meetings? When are the zoning board meetings? Where do they make the announcements? Well, one place is right here on Basement Politics. Also, you can check out Ron Mattin's page. The city of Yonkers is having a planning board meeting tomorrow at 5:30 at City Hall in the council chambers. That's on the 4th floor, 40 South Broadway. So to those residents who are concerned and care about the overdevelopments, this is where you start to actually do something about it. Go to the meetings, learn what the planning board does, the zoning board, see who are the developers coming there to present proposals, projects that they want to do. How tall do they want to go, right? How high is it that they want to build these? So check it out. There's quite a few projects being brought forth to planning board tomorrow at 5:30. There you go. Just wanted to make that announcement. And also really quick, I wanted to talk about these stats. Politics and voting in Yonkers. Politics and voting in Yonkers. Yonkers is super liberal, strong liberal city, according to bestplaces.net. We are above average in the liberal index here. Liberal conservative index. We're all the way over here, right? Very conservative. I wanted to go over really quick some stats. Democrats in Westchester County, 67% of the people, 67.6% are Democrats, right? That's above average. United States is 51.3. New York State is 60.8. And you can see the Republicans there. So I just want to show you that really quick. Bestplaces.net if you are interested in looking up Yonkers. The cost of living. The cost of living in Yonkers is above the national average. So I spoke about this as these developments come in here. They are causing price increase of all apartments, specifically on the west side, as investors come and take advantage of these other properties around these developments. They buy them up, they renovate them, and then they rent them out for more money. Even in the No Dine Hill section, one of the poorest sections in Yonkers, people are seeing rent increases as much as $500, according to one resident of the No Dine Hill section. she's not going to be able to sign the new lease next year. So many people are being forced out. So Yonkers' cost of living is 147.2, higher than the New York average, higher than the national average at 100. Higher in everything: groceries, health, housing, double the national average, 200. I don't know what that 200 number is. Medium home costs, $602,000. The national average is $338,000. Average in New York is $413,000. Westchester is one of the most expensive counties. Utilities in the country, transportation, and miscellaneous. So I'll put that out there. You can check all those stats. I just thought that was interesting, and I wanted to share that with you folks. Let's get into this. Jose Alvarado, county legislator. Yeah, it's extra expensive, William. You're absolutely right. And you can't imagine what I would, what you can get in other places. It's unbelievable. Yonkers legislator Jose Alvarado named majority leader of Westchester Board of Legislators, taking Chris Johnson's spot. He took your place, Chris. Took it. That's it. And that comes over the controversy of regarding Chris Johnson and his housing situation. He went and purchased a home outside of his district, and you have to live in your district in order to represent that district. He was no longer living there. However, he filed documents stating that he was still living in his district in an apartment that he purchased through an affordable housing program. And then he stated on his mortgage application that he would be utilizing that apartment as an investment property. Investment property where he would be generating $2,500 a month. However, according to the Yonkers Inspector General, who's now investigating this, Chris Johnson has admitted to leasing or subleasing, or leasing, I guess he owned the apartment to his brother-in-law for $1,500, right? So now now you caught yourself in another lie, because you are told your mortgage application or your mortgage company that you were going to be generating $2,500 a month. You should have lied to IG and told them you were collecting $2,500 as well. So there, Chris Johnson is now, in potential legal trouble. What will become of it? Well, so far, he's been removed from his majority leader position, and now they're also debating or questioning or meeting or wondering or discussing whether or not to remove him altogether from the Westchester County Board of Legislators. I saw this coming. I didn't see this specifically, but I knew that they were going to be doing something to get rid of Chris Johnson. They are making sure that David Tubiolo remains there. That's why he has no one running against him. They're making sure Jose Alvarado continues to remain as a county legislator. And now they're moving him to the majority leader. You see that they got rid of Catherine Borgia over the administrative aid, or the aid to the Board of Legislators, Anand Singh, a guy who was caught trying to solicit sex from who he thought was an underage girl. He knowingly knew this girl was underage, but he still went to try and have sex with her, tried to meet up with her. And again, going back to the dangers of social media. But he was caught. He was on video on YouTube. And then when it came out that this had happened and it was made public, all hell broke loose over at the County Board of Legislators. When did they know? Who knew about it? Why was nothing done about it? Mind you, this aide once worked in City Hall with the council members during Mike Cater's era. But he was up at the county legislator now. And it's karma, really, because I believe I was told that he was part of helping, bring down Mike Cater. So this is karma for him. But he also brought down Catherine Borgia, and she was no longer the chair of the Board of Legislators. That position then went to Vedat Gashi. Vedat Gashi, if you don't know, ran for, I forgot, what did he run? He ran against Jamal Bowman for congressman. He lost to Bowman, and there he is. He ended up as the chair of the Board of Legislators. So they still managed to find somewhere for him to go. And that's because it's all about taking control of the county Board of Elections. And that's what they're doing. So now they have Shanae, possibly. Well, Shanae has to get past Debbie Kozak, right? Shanae Williams, they're hoping wins. David Tubiolo, James Nolan. And you know the history behind James Nolan and how he got to represent District 15 after Ruth Walter had been representing that district for so long. There was a whole bunch of controversy with that, and she was called a racist. And Reggie Lafayette, the late, great Reggie Lafayette, the former head of the Westchester County Democrats' son, accused Ruth Walter of, being a racist. And so that kind of brought her down, and James Nolan took her seat. So they have Nolan in there, and they're taking out Chris Johnson. They got Vadak Gashi in there as the chair. So, they're completing their plans. And the point of this is to really try to get a hold and gain more power in Westchester politics, throughout Westchester, all the little towns and municipalities, right? Because the developments are not just going to stop in Yonkers. No, the developments are not just stopping in Yonkers. They're going all along the waterfront, all the way up as far as they can go. They want to create this long walkway. So there's a lot of places where there's a lot of development that is going to happen, and people want to be in on it. They want to be in on the action. And if you've been following the New Rochelle elections, check out the young woman, the Latina, who won recently. But you got a lot of Capelli money, I hear. Why is that? But anyway, Jose Alvarado, now the new majority leader, Westchester Board of Legislators. Jose Alvarado, the 17th Legislative District is in Yonkers, was elected to majority leader of the Westchester Board of Legislators, replacing Christopher Johnson after a damning report from the Yonkers Inspector General. A damning report from the, and by the way, the District 17th is Nodine Hill, Park Hill. So Jose Alvarado, where were you? A family son is missing. They need all the help they can get. That's your district. Last month, an investigative news story by David McKay, he's been all in on it, of the Journal News, LOHUD, revealed a year-long housing scandal perpetrated by the now former majority leader, Christopher Johnson. Wilson discovered that Johnson moved into a new home outside of his legislative district. Furthermore, Johnson signed conflicting residency documents for a condo he purchased under an affordable housing program in 2010. He allegedly also rented that condo to his brother-in-law. Days after losing his primary election to challenger Shanae Williams, the Yonkers Inspector General's report confirmed these allegations, putting Johnson's position in the BOL at risk. While Johnson's eligibility to serve in the 16th district at all is still under review by the Westchester Law Department, his leadership position at the Board of Legislators is now forfeit. And in a vote on Monday, July 10th, the BOL voted Majority Whip Jose Alvarado to become their new majority leader. By the way, Jose Alvarado is up for re-election this November. Just want you to know. The Honduras-born Alvarado became Westchester's first Latino legislator in 2001. He served 5 terms from 2002 to 2011 before returning to the board for 2020 year. Alvarado won re-election for his 7th term in 2021. He, too, really never had a challenger. Employed as an administrator of the Yonkers Parks Department, Alvarado's commitment to his district is evident in his efforts to improve the community. Yeah, he successfully secured funding for various projects, including a new water access park in the Ludlow Park neighborhood, the completion of the South End Riverwalk project, and that's what I'm talking about, the Riverwalk that they want to build all along the Hudson River, going all the way up to Albany. So there's a lot of development that's going to be done on waterfronts of Westchester towns along the water. And the modernization of Tibbetts Brook Park. He has also been instrumental in supporting youth programs and ensuring the well-being of seniors throughout the county. Tyree Woodson Samuels of Mount Vernon replaces Alvarado as the majority whip. Tyree Woodson was an assistant or an aide to the former Congressman Elliot Engel. Barring any more unforeseen scandals at the Board of Legislators, Alvarado will serve as majority leader until a new vote is taken in the next term, starting in January 2024. And they just anticipate he's going to win, right? I mean, he's up for re-election in November. He's going up against Jose Diaz. You know, if you're looking for someone that, I mean, at this point, folks, we have to forget voting based on party lines. You know, we've gotten to a point in this country where we have realized that it doesn't matter what party the person is associated with, right? We have to vote based on the individual. We have been let down by, I'm a Democrat, and we have been let down by Democrats. We have been seeing this very recently, right? And, you know, people have to take issue with Republicans. And so this leaves us, we're in the middle here. And for all us in the middle, we have to vote based on the individual. And when it comes to an incumbent and whether or not we are going to reelect that individual, we have something to look at. His track record, right? Seventh term, this guy, Jose Alvarado. What has he truly done? And I know the Yonkers Ledger, by the way, shout out to the Yonkers Ledger, tried to hype him up a bit there, but Jose is MIA. Jose has had many, you know, scandals himself. I mean, this is a man who was working at City Hall until they transferred him over to Parks Department because he would arrive to work drunk. He would spend many hours, or many days, I should say, over at the Park Hill Country Club at the bar that's located inside there. Yeah, they have a bar there, right? And that's where you can find him. Sure, he may have cleaned up his act by now because it was getting too obvious and they've had to transfer him and people all know about it. But this is who this individual is, right? And what has he truly done for his community? Nodine Hill section, Park Hill section is the worst, has been the worst. And so when you criticize Corazon Pineda Isaac, which they have, you can't neglect to criticize Jose Alvarado. That is his district of representation also. And he has been MIA. Go up Elm Street. Go and stand, if you dare, on the corner of Linden and Elm Street. What is Jose Alvarado doing? Many of the business owners there are not happy with Jose. I've spoken to them, smaller business owners. They don't really want to speak out. Again, you have a business in Yonkers, you must stay shut. You must not stir the pot or it can affect your business. And many people know that, including myself, all too well. So they have spoken to me, condition of anonymity. What is it? That word, and I can never say that, right? They remain anonymous. And they told me the guy hasn't done anything for them. Nothing at all, except when they want votes. Then they come around. And they're also tired of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce. They feel like those individuals are just there to shake them down. They are the group that wrote the letter to the city council president asking to extend terms after they were shaking down, right? He has done nothing. He is a useful tool for the Dems. Absolutely. He has done absolutely nothing. And he rarely shows up, but he can sing a great karaoke after a few modelos. I will give it to him. And I found this, well, I didn't find it. An anonymous source that had been communicating with me, that communicates with me, has been communicating with me for a while now. Someone who knows the history of Yonkers very well, knows what to look for, found this article and sent it to me. I don't know what to make of it. Is this Jose Alvarado, the county legislator? I mean, this is strange. This is very strange. Terrorized Nodine Hill area, crime wave. Suspect is arrested by Jim Kavanaugh. Now, is this the same Jim Kavanaugh that's the president of the IDA? I mean, it wouldn't be far-fetched. Jim Kavanaugh started out as a journalist. He was writing for a small newspaper in Westchester before he went on to work for Nick Spano in his communications department. So Jim Kavanaugh is a journalist, or was a writer for a newspaper. Did he write this article? I don't know. That's also interesting. And I just noticed that actually a little bit ago. So let me read this. With the arrest Saturday, Yonkers police think they may have caught the person responsible for a one-man crime wave in the Nodine Hill area during the past several months. The suspect, Jose Alvarado, 19 of 60 Summit Street, was arrested at 5:30 a.m. in Nodine Hill following yet another burglary in the neighborhood. Police charged Alvarado with one count each of first-degree burglary and criminal possession of stolen property. but they also say he is a prime suspect in numerous burglaries and other crimes in that area. So far, Alvarado, who apparently grew up on Nodine Hill, has not been charged with anything other than the Saturday morning incident, but police expect to release further details within the next few days about his alleged involvement in break-ins that stretch back over several months. One recent Nodine Hill burglary also resulted in the rape of the house's 41-year-old occupant. While two other burglaries have involved attempted rapes, police are apparently investigating a link between Alvarado and those incidents. Should Alvarado, who is married and unemployed, be charged with the string of burglaries, a lot of people know that Hill will rest easier. Chief among them will be City Councilman Stephen Kubasek, I think, who feels Alvarado is the person he fired 2 warning shots at last week when he saw a pair of intruders in his backyard. The councilman said he was shown a photograph of Alvarado following his arrest. I'm very much relieved, said Kubasek. This is something I've been sitting on since August. There have been 8 attempts and 4 burglaries at my house. The councilman added that he knew others in the Nodine Hill who had suffered similar multiple burglaries. Police Saturday would not release details of the arrest, nor at exactly which address the latest burglary occurred. But Kubasek said he had been assured previously by police that they would blanket the Nodine Hill area at night, which is when the burglaries have been taking place. It was this intensified coverage that apparently paid off in Alvarado's arrest. The Nodine Hill burglaries involved the taking of random household objects such as watches, jewelry, and any cash that was laying around. And recently they have become uglier with the addition of rape or rape attempts. On January 21, a 41-year-old awoke in mid-morning to find a man standing over her, shining a flashlight into her face. The intruder, armed with a knife, forced her to disrobe and then attacked her. Tuesday night, Kubasek fired 2 warning shots from a pistol when he saw a pair of men near his backyard. He told them to stop, he explained, following the incident, but fired 2 shots in the air when they refused. Although Kubasek said he saw 2 men in the rear of his house, police said that their investigation currently rests only upon Alvarado. Noting this, Kubasek said that if the suspect is charged with multiple incidents, will be satisfied that a motivating force behind the crimes is under lock and key, and that the accomplices may have been only temporary. So is this Jose Alvarado, the county legislator of District 17? Again, this is old. Did Jim Cavanaugh, the president of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency, write this article? He was a journalist. He was a staff writer for a newspaper back in the day. He's also married to Wilson Kimball, the president of Municipal Housing Authority in the city of Yonkers, the chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeal, the president of the Mulford Corporation, the boss of the city council president, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy. Many titles, many hats Wilson Kimball wears, and she is very powerful. Many people are scared of Wilson. So is that her husband who wrote this article, and is that Jose Alvarado, the county legislator? That's crazy. But it wouldn't be surprising because there's so many individuals that are linked to the city that have these pasts that they don't want no one to know about, that I have managed to dig up with the help of my anonymous sources. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. I really do. I mean, they were the ones that gave me the articles on the Yonkers Voice, where he admitted in the article, he admitted to touching and kissing an underage girl. He pled guilty to it. He also was caught, I have the article, for trying to sell cocaine to an underage girl. So why do you think the Yonkers Voice is a propaganda machine? He will write what these elected officials want him to. That's crazy. That's why you need to vote for Jose Diaz. Jose Diaz is a Republican, a Latino, a Hispanic Republican who truly cares about helping people. He wants to make a difference. And he's not running to make money. He's not running to be a politician. He's not running to say, hey, look at me. He's running because he's experienced some injustices that he wants to correct. He wants to make an impact. And he's realized that the way he does that is by becoming an elected official, especially on the county side. And I'm talking about his dealings with the family courts and the Department of Social Services, which comes under the county's authority. In fact, he's going to be having a rally coming up. I believe it's the 17th, July 17th, in front of Social Services on Warburton. There are going to be a lot of people attending there. A lot of injustices there at the family court. You know, a lot of people have had issues with that. So if you are someone who's had problems with family court and, you know, you're looking for help and you're looking for someone or some guidance, you should attend. There'll be people there that have had experiences that may be able to help you. So that's who Jose Diaz is. He is a person that is out there in the community. He doesn't just talk the talk. He walks the walk. Sure, he's a Republican. So what? So what? That doesn't matter. What matters is that he's out there in the community and he represents the people. He doesn't represent himself in his own interests and those that put him or prop him up. He's an independent guy. He hasn't been getting much support from the Republican Party. Unfortunately, many people in the Republican Party here in Yonkers are compromised. They work with many individuals in the Democratic Party. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what party you belong to. The ruling class, the ruling, you know, those who are in charge, there's only one party, right? That's not Republican. It's not Democrats. A lot of Democrats were once Republicans, right? So you have to vote on the individual, look at Jose Alvarado's track records. And if this is the Jose Alvarado, which I mean, no Dine Hill, both no Dine Hill guys. This is on, you know, maybe more reason why he should not be voted again into office. Look for Jose Diaz. It's time that we create change. Change comes with voting. Vote. We have to vote. You don't have to speak out. You don't have to, you know, be public about it. You can quietly vote people out. Jose Diaz, he's a Republican, but he is running against Jose Alvarado for District 17. Not getting a lot of support from the Republican Party because they don't want him to truly win. And it's unfortunate. So to all you Republicans, all you true Republicans, the residents, I mean, not members of the party, but the residents, truly understand or just understand that your party, a lot of them are selling you guys out. So if you want a real Republican, Jose Diaz. If you want a real elected official, a real person that's going to be out there to help you, that's Jose Diaz. Democrats, if you are looking for someone that's actually going to do something in that district, which is majority Democrats living there, Democrats who have not gotten any help, who have been impoverished for generations. Nothing has changed in No Dine Hill. It's only gotten worse. Then you need to vote for Jose Diaz. That's what you have to do. It's time for change. And I will be supporting Jose Diaz, and I'm going to put it out there throughout the coming months and in November's election. Nothing personal. So I don't need to be attacked by your propaganda machines, right? It's what they do. They will attack me and my family, right? As they did the other day again. Jose Diaz. So if that's Jose Alvarado, that's incredible. Share that. I mean, it needs to be put out there. So now that Chris Johnson is under attack and his spot's been blown, you're not living in your district anymore, and you can't have that apartment anymore because you blew that and you violated the terms of that affordable housing program. So they confiscated it. All right, they made him forfeit the apartment, I believe, or they're making him do so. They're foreclosing on it. And now he has to look for an apartment in his district. He has to look for a place to live in his district. So it's costing him more money, right? And for anyone out there who's thinking about doing something similar, make sure you get an LLC. Buy the house on the LLC, right? And then have your brother-in-law stay in the house until you finish out your, career as a Westchester County legislator for District 16. Right? That's what you should have done. And then you wouldn't have no problem. But you didn't. As Johnson searches for an apartment by Monday in 16th District, BOL Dems to remove him as majority leader, which they did. But I just want to mention that he's out here looking for a place to live. YonkersTimes.com has learned that Westchester County Legislator Johnson is furiously searching for an apartment in the 16th District in Yonkers that he represents but no longer lives in. Johnson was caught living in a $770,000 home with his wife and child in the past 12 months outside the district, while he illegally rented an rented out an affordable housing condo that he used to live in that district. But look, you know, the thing about this is that if he was leasing to somebody who, you know, who would need affordable housing anyway, what's the big deal, right? It's still serving its purpose, and it's helping a black man build wealth, because blacks and Hispanics, we don't really own property, and that's one of the ways you develop wealth. You build your wealth, you grow your money. But it's very difficult as a Hispanic and black to buy property here. And I'm not trying to make this about race, but the fact is that individuals do have a monopoly, right? Like myself, I tried to buy a house. I was interested in buying a house on Prescott. I kept calling and calling and calling. The realtor told me they'd get back to me. No one got back to me. Finally, they stopped picking up. I see the house was sold. Well, why did no one want to show it to me? I've never had this happen before, where I call a realtor and they don't want to show you the house. I mean, especially if you can provide proof of funds, right? And they see you have the money, so that, yeah, they're not going to waste their time. But I didn't think anything of it. I said, all right, whatever, I guess. Then I was contacted by another Hispanic who was interested in buying a home over on Culver Street. And when he tried calling the realtor, they ignored him, told him to call him back. They didn't. And finally, they got, I guess, so frustrated with him calling about the house and expressing his interest in buying it. He wanted to invest his money. They told him to stop calling, and he was taken aback, surprised. Why would they tell me to stop calling? Don't they want to sell this house? And so what I came to learn is that these homes that the house I try to buy, the one that he tried to buy, there were properties that were in tax liens, right? The taxes were not paid on them. However, the owner had passed away. So there's no one there to pay the taxes on it, right? There's no next of kin. And then these homes then go up for auction. They're supposed to go up for public auction, but they don't. And so they're quietly sold to certain individuals, but they have to put a sign up. They have to show that it's for sale. They have to make the attempt, right? They have to do their due diligence. And so that's what's happening. And so I learned of the individual who purchased that particular home on Culver Street, and I saw what was going on. And imagine these individuals who are already multimillionaires buying these homes for these prices, dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. And blocking other individuals from being able to purchase it to grow their wealth. And that's what's actually happening. And I just want to put that out there. So why is it that they're now getting on Chris Johnson? I mean, again, I've mentioned this before. The president of Municipal Housing Authority, for whatever reason, formed another entity called the Mulford Corporation, a nonprofit entity that its purpose is to bring affordable housing to the city of Yonkers, to provide more affordable housing to those who need it. But don't we already have Municipal Housing Authority of the city of Yonkers? Why do we need this additional entity? And so they've been acquiring the public housing, the public property owned by municipal housing quietly and renovating them using federal and state money. Sure, some in loans that some bank money, but a lot of it is federal and state money to knock these public housing down. They're already there. They just knock them down and rebuild them new. And many times they're not building the same amount of units that they had before. They're coming back with less. So they're not bringing more. They're just acquiring public housing. They're renovating them completely with the help of taxpayer money. And then they're building less, reducing the stock. And then they're being selective of who they allow to live in them, because now it's their property, right? And so there's that racket, there's that hustle going on there. And then they hire their for-profit management companies to manage these properties now. No longer is Macy Municipal Housing managing them. So that takes away jobs from individuals who live in the city. And so that's jobs that are lost as well. But people don't see this because they put on shows. And that's what everybody thinks is going on. So I just want to put that out there. It ain't just Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson needs to speak up. So a lot of people are doing this. A lot of people are hustling. But, you know, I feel bad for Chris Johnson. And again, Chris Johnson, and to anyone looking to become like Jose Diaz, anyone looking to become an elected official, make sure you get to know your constituents. That's what saved Moranti in District 6 when Tim Hodges challenged him. The fact that he was able to, you know, get build a relationship with enough of individuals from that district to where they would come out and vote for him no matter what, keep him in office. And so that's what you need to do. Chris Johnson didn't do that in his district. They helped him get there when they wanted him out of the council. So then now they got him out because he didn't build a strong enough voter base in his district to secure his position. And they're going to do the same thing with Shanae. It's only a matter of time. Anthony Moranti, speaking of the Republican, he submitted petitions, 5,000 plus, filed for term limit referendum with the Yonkers City clerk, right? There goes Vinny Spano. I had to blow you up, Vinny. There goes Vinny. This is funny. I laugh at things. They have to go through it. He has to go through it to show that they're legitimate, right? And then let's see what the council's going to do. But they got a surprise for Anthony Moranti. They're going to throw a curveball at you. Wow, these guys been playing this game for a long time, all right? They've been playing for a long time. You have to be 5 steps ahead. You have to think like they think. And sometimes a lot of you guys just don't, right? Just don't. Let me read. Where did this article start? Phil Zeisman, Yonkers voters for the term limit, and former Yonkers Inspector General and mayoral candidate Councilman Anthony Moranti submitted the petitions at the Yonkers City Clerk's office. My guy, Vinny Spano. The petitions ask voters to approve a change in term limit law, allowing the mayor and the council members to serve a maximum of 3 4-year terms. Now, this is what I don't get. This is what I don't get, Anthony. Why 3? The voters, when they were giving the opportunity, when they were treated with respect and voted on the term limits, they voted for 2 4-year terms, right? Why are you only, why are you just, or bringing it back to 3? Why isn't this petition for a referendum that would bring it back to 2, where the people actually voted for it to be? Right? You guys were the ones that voted to extend it the 3rd time. So that's illegitimate to me anyway. So it should have been back to 2. But now, actually, something just hit me in I just, bing, like a light bulb went off just now. I'm sorry, excuse me. I think I know why you did that. There's going to be something that's going to happen after this. It's going to be a response to this. And this, geez, folks, I don't really want to tell you how I really feel, because some of you will disagree with me, and I know that you will, but I believe this is true, what I think. So I'm just going to keep it PG right now. And the petitions ask voters to approve a change in the term limit laws allowing the mayor and the councilman to serve, and I read that maximum 3. This referendum will ask the voters if they wish to return the number of allowable terms back to 3, but it should be 2, not 3. If the signatures are deemed valid by the city clerk, the matter goes to the Yonkers City Council. The council will then vote to accept the petitions and allow the question to be placed on the ballot November 7th, or reject the petition. If the petition is rejected, Yonkers voters for term limits must go out and collect another 2,500 valid signatures. If passed, the referendum will not affect candidates running for re-election in November. So is this all for show? Is it just for show? right? You know, in the very beginning, when people were wondering, are they going to extend the term limits? They all act like they didn't know what people were talking about. Oh, I didn't hear nothing. I didn't hear nothing. And they did this with the third term, right? I didn't hear anything. Everybody stayed quiet. Moranti stayed quiet. Corazon stayed quiet. I care about the people. I want to do the right thing, right? So I always put myself in their shoes. If I were Moranti or Corazon or whoever and truly opposed this, I would have been coming out with it before they introduced it, okay? Before Lakeisha Collins Bellamy introduced the legislation, I would know. That would be my job, to know what's going on, what the whispers, yo, what's up? You know, I'm in everything. And I would know that this is in the works. And I would speak to the people about it. Say, yeah, there's a possibility that a legislation may be introduced to extend the term limits again, to make it 4 terms. We need to have discussions about this, right? But they didn't do that. They stayed quiet up until the last minute, until where then she introduced the legislation, right? And of course, Moranti and Corazon didn't vote yes on it, but they didn't need to for it to get passed. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And they were running for mayor. Well, Corazon was. She's no longer there. Moranti still is, right? So is it all for show? If you ask me, it's all one great big production. You want to really know how I feel? I just want to tell you how I really feel. You know what I'm saying? The voters wanted only 2 terms. Moranti was one of the council members that took that away. The council can change it anytime. It should be 2 terms. Moranti should have done this petition. See, this is why, again, I don't think this is genuine. Moranti, I like you, Moranti. I just, I got to be honest, right? And like you said, I have my opinions, but it's the truth. I believe this is one great big production. I believe that Moranti is playing his part. I believe that Corazon played her part. And no disrespect to Reverend Coleman, because I hate to say anything that might be negative. It's not, just saying. But I think she was playing her part too. I just truly believe that. I mean, because they're smart people. I would have to believe that you guys were not smart. And I think that's more disrespectful. I think that's more insulting for me to think that you just were not smart enough to realize that you probably didn't have the chance to win, not at least doing what you were doing, right? There's certain things that need to be done that they're just not doing. Like Moranti, he needs to be going over to the West Side. He needs to be working on conservative Democrats and all Democrats who are fed up, who want change, because they are out there, but they don't know Moranti. They think Republicans are racist, right? Or they have these negative stereotypes. And so Moranti needs to be out there getting to know that side, getting to know the community there, even though it's changing, but he needs to be out there engaging the Latinos, engaging the Black community, right? But he's not doing that. He's not. He had a town hall meeting. Maybe there were about what? Maybe like 50 people showed up, but who were those 50 people and where were they from? Right? So if you want to become the next mayor, it's a citywide race. And so you have to reach out to everybody. And he's not really doing that. His wife is Puerto Rican out here. Take her out with you to the West Side, right? And go out there and start engaging the people. Go to Caridad. Have some arroz blanco con pollo guisado and get to meet people. But you're not doing that. And so if you want to beat Mayor Spano, you're going to need those votes. You're going to need them. Why do you think the mayor's team was out on the West Side doing a lot of things with the minority community, the Hispanic and Black community? They understand that. They went out and reached for those people. You have to do that, and you're not, right? And the same was with Margaret Coleman. While she says she was out there, I did see her people on Ashburton once. I saw some signs on Lockwood. She was not reaching the people that didn't know who she was. The people that, may not vote for her unless she gives them a reason to, by communicating with them, by engaging them and winning them over. She wasn't really doing that. So did she want to win the primary? You needed to be on the east side a lot, right? On the southeast side and out more. Anyone that wants to be Mayor Spano has to be visible. You have to be visible. People have to know who you are. They just have to, right? Like kind of people now come up to me a lot because of the podcast. It has to be kind of that thing that they know who you are, even though you don't know them. You have to get yourself known by everybody, everywhere. And I didn't see that happening. So that made me question, did they want to win? why would Margaret Coleman stay in the race knowing that she's going to split the vote between her and Corazon Pineda Isaac? Didn't make much sense. Why would she stay in the race if she didn't have the money needed, especially for someone who's a political unknown, who needs to really get themselves out there? So why would she stay in the race rather than support Corazon if it is change that they want? I think that Reverend Margaret Coleman, again, I like her. I hate to, be this way, but I just want to be honest. I think that she is, gearing up for another race, another office that she really truly wants, and she's just building her political clout, her political, her appearance, her, you know what I mean? I think that's what she was doing, getting her name out there. Right. And like people said to me, Freddie, why would you enter the race? It gets my name out there. And listen, I believe, in trying, you know what I mean? And honestly, if I had gone on the ballot, I would have raised the money that I would have raised more money than Corazon. And they already had it pledged to me and Margaret Coleman actually put together. Right. And I would have been very visible. I would have been doing a bunch of town halls every day, every weekend. I'm out there. I would be out there right now. Right. If that was the case, but they didn't do that. And so I didn't understand that. And so that's why I said, I think there's a game being played. And people say, well, Freddie, Corazon, she's spending a lot of money. How can, it's not a game if, she's really in it to win it. Why would she spend all that money? Which really wasn't that much money. I believe she spent like $70,000. But again, that wasn't her money. It wasn't her. It didn't come out of her pocket. Right. So what that does is that it wastes resources. Right. It wastes your opposition's resources. So if you put a mole in, and then now you have the resources of the opposition being put on this mole, and I don't want to call it Corazon a mole. I'm just saying, a mole, whatever, right? That's money being wasted. It's not her money. If it was from her bank account and she was spending it, then I say, okay, yeah, well, you're right. She's spending her money. Why would she do that just to lose, right? But no, it wasn't her money. But the people that were behind her were people that they wanted to keep occupied with a candidate that really wasn't gonna, wasn't in it to win it. That was just there to keep those individuals occupied and also to get close to Chris Johnson, who was working with Corazon and her people. The mole. It's political suicide for Corazon. So I'd have to think she's stupid, which I don't want to think that. I think that's more disrespectful, right? So I like to think that she's, a little smarter than that. And that was the game. There's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake for the administration here. And so they're going to do everything and cover all their bases. Right? The only thing that they can't do is prevent the people from coming out and voting. But we don't do that. Look at the low voter turnout in the primaries, right? So if you want change, November, people have to come out. So it doesn't matter what game they play, who they put in to clog up a line, because that's what they do, right? They'll put someone in to clog up a line so no one else will get it, right? So they'll clog up the working family party line with someone who's not really in it to win it. They just clog it up, right? And then that person will go on to go do something. They'll give them a little job somewhere, right? We've seen that, in races before, like the race of John Rubo, when his friend's sister was running against him supposedly, right? And then they'll, hurt people and get them off the line with the fake candidate like they did to Corazon when they got her off the working family party line, right? So that way she wouldn't be in the general election. So you telling me you didn't know about this though, Corazon? You didn't see that move? The working family party couldn't do nothing about that? I mean, I don't know. It's just hard for me. It's just really hard for me to believe that. Yonkers politics is a 3-card Monty on a grand scale, 1,000%. 1,000%. And so now going to Moranti. Does Moranti really want to win? Somebody said to me, they said, Freddie, I saw Moranti and, I was talking to him about it. He goes, when I win. And they were saying that he was very kind of cocky about it, right? They didn't realize how arrogant he was. He kind of came off as arrogant. He's saying, when I win, like they're like, how do you know you're going to win? The mayor, beating the mayor is not easy, right? And I said two things because two reasons why he said that. One, he is not smart and he's naive because he's not doing everything to assure that he's going to win. So I don't see why he would be like, when I win, when you're not doing a lot of things that you need to be doing to win. Or, he's not smart, or he's trying to sell it to people that he wants to win, that he's really in it to win it when he's really not. Remember, the Republican Party, for the most part, is non-existent here in the city of Yonkers. It's really just for show. It's really just used kind of as you have the practice team, it's kind of like the practice team, you know what I mean? The practice squad, right? They'll put you in there in place of a real opponent. Right? It's like you're sparring because they want to make sure that candidate that they have there is going to win. They don't want no one really challenging. They don't put a real challenger. You see many races go without a Republican challenger. Why is that? The Republican Party is non-existent. So it wouldn't be far-fetched that Anthony Moranti was just part of the great big production. As Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage. And if I were the administration, that would be one of my strategies. Make it appear a certain way, right? And we're always going to remain in power. So does Moranti really want to win? Because Moranti is a numbers guy. He's an analytical guy, right? He's smart. He should be able to see whether or not he has a true chance and what does he actually have to do in order to actually have that chance of winning and beating the Spano machine, a well-oiled machine that's been doing it for a very, very, very long time. Because he's not doing everything. And then sometimes he contradicts himself. At the town hall meeting, Moranti, you mentioned the IDA and the tax incentives that they give to the developers. You mentioned the sales and use tax, and you mentioned the mortgage recording tax. And you said how that doesn't really affect us, right? And you're right. But what about the property tax incentive? That's where the majority of the money that they save comes from. The big tax break is the property tax break that these developers get from the IDA. And that does impact Yonkers because that's millions of dollars that the city doesn't get, that they're supposed to get, because these developers are not paying their true, tax obligation. But you didn't mention that. And I found that to be strange, the way you worded it. And that's kind of why I said something too. And then also someone asked, how did the members get appointed to the board, or how do they become members of these boards, like the zoning board? And you said, they're appointed and then the council votes on it. And you said you've never, voted for someone not to be on it. You've always voted, everyone that came before you approved, you vote. That includes the people that are changing all the zoning laws, that are creating this problem with all this overdevelopment. And so why haven't you done anything about that? Why did you approve everybody? Why didn't you look at the background of Wilson Kimball, who was investigated by the Inspector General in 2010? They were doing some real stuff back in 2010, huh? That was when they had Zahi Jerris and them under investigation. Right? Why did you not look at her past, her background? Did you not wonder why they were voting to appoint Anthony Jalaj, that young 20-some-year-old son of the investor, onto the zoning board when there were already, there were no seats available? Did you not ask what happened to the other individuals, the other zoning board members, the ones with 30+ years of experience? Did you not question why we were voting for new members? Did something happen to these two gentlemen who are very experienced, who are probably the best two on here? The ones that didn't want to approve many of the projects that have now since been approved, like the one on Hudson Terrace over there by the ShopRite, the one where they do the construction however the hell they want. They don't care about safety or health or damage to the property around it. Right? And I've shown you video of that stuff. Yeah, they didn't want to approve that. And so what they do, they get rid of them without even notifying them. They've been on the board 30+ years, but because they were doing the right thing, they got rid of them. Who? the current chairperson. I'm not making this up. I got a very reliable source. So this is true. So they got rid of them. Just so they can change these zoning laws, just so they can approve these projects. And Moranti, you're a part of that because you approved the zoning changes that they present before you guys, the city council. So in a sense, you approve the projects because you allow it to happen. So when they want to change the zoning laws so they can go up to now 40, as you stated, and higher, you approve that stuff. They didn't tell the people at the town hall that, though. And this is why it's important for people to watch the meetings, or at least watch Basement Politics. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Folks, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you share the show. Corazon Moranti couldn't even use the problem of John Mueller, and his pay-to-play rise through the police ranks against Spano if they wanted to, because they both voted to confirm the creep. That's what I'm saying. They're part of voting for a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? Oh, I got one thing to show really quick. Let me just show you all these. Yeah. Tough to run against a guy whose bullshit you rubber stamped constantly for years. And that's, in a sense, that's a problem. You went along with it. You can't speak against it now. Rich Martinelli running as a third-party candidate against John Murtaugh and Mike Spano. Like Rich Martinelli running as a third-party candidate against John Murtaugh and Mike Spano, assuring a Spano win. Yeah. It's all a game. It's all and I've seen it, and I've been seeing it, right? And folks, you have to give me credit. A lot of stuff I've said is going to happen has happened, right? It has happened. I see it. It's all about just watching what people do, hearing what they say, watching what they actually do. Everyone, and you see it because it just doesn't make sense. If this was me and I were doing this, then I'd be doing X, Y, and Z. Why are they not? Right? Why isn't Moranti out there in the West Side? He needs to be out there. But he's not. Moranti is also an accountant, right? That's his business. I hear he's a own car. He doesn't need the city vehicles. Independent guy. But we don't hear Moranti speak out on anything in regards to the budget. Nothing of substance. And there's a whole lot there. Right? When it comes to funding for various things that we fall short. What about, the wasteful spending? You don't question that stuff, and you're an accountant. Isn't that what you do for your clients? You watch their money, make sure that they are managing their finances correctly. They're not overspending. What's up with with that here for the city of Yonkers? That's your primary job as a council member, to approve the budget, review and approve a budget. So you should be calling a lot of these things out, especially the things that the New York State Comptroller has mentioned time and time again in review of your guys' budget. Says the same thing. He cautions the city of Yonkers on the same exact things, and you've never mentioned that. Corazon finally brought it up in the meeting once, but a little too late. I have been saying it on the podcast for a long time. Right? So if you want the truth, you really want to know what's going on, Basement Politics is where you get that. Freddie Vasquez gives you the truth. I analyze a lot of this stuff for you. I get information from a lot of anonymous sources. I do my best to filter out the information, but I do my homework as best I can. And they've given me a little more time to do more homework, right? So I've been looking into that whole housing thing. I'm putting that together over there, Macy Mulford Corporation. I'm going to figure it out, whatever it is, right? So come here, tell a friend to tell a friend, share the podcast, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. You want to know what's going on in Yonkers, why it's going on, who's involved. This is where you find it, right here. This is the place where truth lives and corruption dies. Have a beautiful night. Humpback. Hump day Wednesday. Have a blessed day, folks.
Ready to win. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
That's right, folks. This is Basement Politics. I am Freddie Vasquez, the guy that people say has some big cojones because of the things that I've mentioned right here on my podcast. By the way, a la neighbor. Was that you at the Yonkers, at the town hall meeting yesterday? That was you, wasn't it? What are you doing there? Were you spying? What was Allah? I think that was you, Allah, wasn't it? You was spying, huh? This political espionage. They do that stuff here. Folks, really quick. You know, I just thought this was so funny, I guess. Funny is one word. And I'm not talking about the people here. I don't want to disrespect you folks here. I just thought this was interesting. This is a Black Lives Matter rally. What do you notice? There's not one black person there. But that's okay. That's okay. We got Trayvon Martin. We have Tyree Nichols. Andrew Brown Jr. I thought it was Mike Brown Jr. Is it Mike Brown Jr.? Why does she have Andrew Brown? I don't know. Oh, whatever. All these people. This is a Black Lives Matter. These folks are here rallying on Warbird and Yonkers here, I believe. They're out here and they're committed to this, to the social, injustices or against black people. There's not one black person, not one of the women of color who sit on the council. These individuals care more about black people than the 4 women of color on the council. I'm just saying, it's the truth. It's the truth. Shanae Williams don't care that her district is being gentrified and that her people are being pushed out, and it's blacks that are, moving out of Yonkers the most. That population is dwindling. She doesn't care. Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy doesn't care that maybe a black person may want to run for mayor and would have no chance, especially if they grew up like her in public housing and don't have the connections because she extended the terms. A Latino wanted to run. You just messed that up, right? Latina wanted to run. A black woman wanted to run. Reverend Margaret Coleman. And you made it pretty much impossible for them to win by doing that. And what about the housing ordinance that many blacks and Hispanics here in the city of Yonkers need? You guys have not passed a housing ordinance. So everything you've done has been anti-black, anti-Hispanic, anti-minority. But here we are, a group of white folks, white residents, God bless you. God bless you, Sue. Out here consistently bringing awareness to the social injustices of black Americans. What you need to do, folks, Sue, you need to check out the social injustices done by our council to black residents here in the city of Yonkers and Latinos. That's Warburton. If you go a little further south, you see a lot of black folks there. But I don't know if you're going to see many down that way by Hastings. I'm just saying, you should protest for the housing that's impacting blacks here in the city of Yonkers and blacks throughout the country a lot more, folks. And the fact that they didn't bring jobs with the developers and Lionsgate, that's impacting blacks. Sue, did you know that blacks are leaving Yonkers because they can no longer afford it nor find a job? And even if they did find a job, it doesn't pay enough to pay the rent. I'm Freddie Vasquez. God bless and good night.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Not long ago, he admitted himself.
In another one, Mr. Rumo lied to me. And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some of the butter chicken. So thank you.
Freddie wins.
Folks, have a beautiful and blessed night. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I hope to have the mother of Edwin, Valerio, the boy that's still missing, join me to talk about what's going on. Please share that story, share the flyer, folks. Let's find Edwin Valerio. Thank you.